morning, Friday, August 16th. No. Is it? No. Thursday, August 15th. One of the two. I'm Larissa. My video diary. Oh my god. Having a rough morning. Past couple days been rough. Because I'm hurting. And it hurts to drive. It hurts to drive. Being in the car for more than like 20 minutes is hard on me right now. And sitting in traffic is bad. And it's so I got out yesterday to walk, and I pushed myself. I told Omar, I pushed myself. I walked probably a quarter mile more than what I normally walk, and just to push, right? Like, is it not going to have any improvement if I'm not pushing, right? Oh, it made it real hard coming back. Made it real hard walking back in the last quarter mile, right? Back in was rough, and came home. By the time I got home and got out of the car, I had trouble getting up the steps, and that was upsetting. It's upsetting. 46, it's upsetting. Kid 46, it's upsetting. So it's just like, I don't want to be a burden on other people. I don't want special treatment. I don't want, but at the same time, it's like, to accept myself and what my limitations are. It hurts. Anyway. Anyway. Like, I don't want to sound whiny, right? Like, but I also I need to have my needs met, right? And it's just, insult to injury when it's even a challenge to play ball with my dog, right? Just be able to play ball with my dog, right? But it's hard for me. And I still have all this packing to do and this moving to do, and I don't really have anyone to help me other than Omar, and um it's challenging. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard, and Yeah, it's gonna be difficult. So yesterday hiking out at Wilder Ranch. So I can't really call it hiking. It's just walking. It's a nice flat trail. A couple things. Oh, the animals were out, and the little ground squirrels. Oh my God, the little ground squirrels. Oh, the little ground squirrels are so cute. And they're so fluffy, and they're usually really, really evasive, right? Like they hide from people on the camera. They play a little game where you try to take their picture and they pop back down in their hole, kind of thing. Well, yesterday the little ground squirrels were really nice to me. So I was walking down the trail, and I kept on hearing this little like chirping noise, and I'm like, "Oh my goodness!" I knew it wasn't a bird. Like I thought it was ground squirrels. It was so cute, this little noise that they make. And I'd stop and I'd look, and finally I stopped, and I heard the chirpy noise, and I saw this rustling in the brush, and this one just like popped up and it posed. She was totally posing for me, and I was like, "Oh," and then she made the little noise again, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I'm like, okay, well, if I take out my camera, are you gonna run away? And she just held the pose. She just held the pose. So I'm like, okay. So I took out my camera and I got some pictures of her. And she's all looking at me, and oh my goodness, it was the cutest, sweetest thing. I was like, oh, thank you, because they're so hard to get a picture of. Little ground squirrels are so hard to get a picture of. Oh, they're so cute. Their little, her fluffy little, her fluffy little round bum. Oh my goodness, little speckles on it. Oh. They're so cute. And then a little one of the babies went across the road in front of me. I was like, oh, you're so cute. Yeah. Oh, and then I was really irritated when I was walking back. So here comes these two beefy looking bubbas. They look like twin brothers, right? And they got their mom and dad with them. It looked like they were in their early 20s, maybe mid 20s, maybe a little bit older. I don't know. I don't know. They were younger than me, right? Anyway, they're walking, and they got this like show dog, and it's not just any kind of show dog, it's a fucking bird dog. And Wilder Ranch is a bird, it's a nature preserve, right? And but it's specifically bird habitats. Like that's one of the biggest protected things there. And I got this bird dog with them. And I was just like, I know that that is not a service dog, you know? And I said when I walked past, I couldn't bite my tongue. I said, better be a service dog. And he goes, yep. And I'm like, well, then where's its vest? And it's just like, that is not a service dog. That was not a fucking service dog. It was a show stud. It was a show sire. And I'm like, I said to Omar, I said, I felt bad for the dog, and I felt bad for all the animals, because there's that dog whose every instinct is to hunt those birds, right? It's like, I'd like to take Brody on a walk. Like, I think Brody would like walking there with me. And I'd certainly feel safer with Brody there with me, but I don't get to. If I showed up with my dog, they would fucking find me, right? Like, I most certainly would get in trouble. Why doesn't anybody else ever get in trouble for breaking rules, right? Egregiously. Why is it that I'm the only one that's ever held accountable for anything? And it's just like, so it's just selfish. Everybody would like to bring their dog there. It's not a place you bring your fucking dog. And these guys were this whole family was like entitled scum, right? Selfish, entitled scum, thinking rules that don't apply to them, and oh, they can do whatever the fuck they want. So irritated. Really was. Really, really was. We had green beans and tofu again last night. Baked green beans, baked potato. Oh, there's mushroom in there too, and some tomato this time, and just baked it with some white wine. Yeah, it was a Vino Verde this time. Lower alcohol content, a little higher sugar content. A little higher residual sugar. Not much though. It was a pretty dry bottle. Anyway, yeah. There was this. The thistles were blowing. I'm like, oh, okay. This is what's going on. But there was like little fluffy stars in the air blowing around me. I tried to get pictures. Tried to get pictures of the fluffy thistles. Fluffy thistles. Fluffy thistles. That is not easy to say. Fluffy thistles. Yes. Fricatives. Yeah. Oh, I saw in my YouTube Music Quick Picks Hazel Dickens song, Hello Stranger. I saw that this morning. I didn't listen to it, but I saw it was there. Hello, stranger, put your loving hand in mine. Hello, stranger, put your loving hand in mine. You are a stranger, and you're a friend of mine. Get up round her, let a working girl lay down. Get up round her, let a working girl lay down. Yeah. You are a rounder. Every time I take 6th and 5th Street car, every time. Take 6th and 5th Street car. And I go, oh, it's the song's really good. I used to sing that song all the time. It's actually a duet. Um, uh, it's about taking the train out to prison to see to see your spouse. That's what that song's about. Anyway, yeah. Hello, stranger. Yeah, yeah. And Hazel Dickens. And Hazel Dickens. Fly away, little pretty bird. Fly, fly away, fly away, little pretty bird. And pretty you will always stay. Oh, my hip. So, like, I have injury and stuff, but the genesis, the start of the discomfort, the seed of why there's weakness in my hip, because I was born with my legs externally rotated and had to have them turned in. And it's not like a super rare thing, but it's not a super common thing either. But it's like it's like remnants of a genetic birth defect. So my mother's family were hillbillies. Um, they were hillbillies, and her mother, Daisy, was we we're not. I'm not 100% sure, but some of the stuff that was passed on was traditions and things were Shawnee, and she was sold by her parents to another family to be a house servant when she was like 13. And so in from out of Kentucky, like so she was born in Kentucky, in Appalachia, and um, ended up in Pennsylvania in the Appalachian Range, right? Still, um, the family she was sold to was in Pennsylvania, so she went from Kentucky to Pennsylvania. Anyway, great, great Uncle Russell was a circus clown because he had a club foot. And that same generation, there was another sibling, Fanny, who was a little person. And anyway, they both joined the circus. So she ended up in San Francisco and performed burlesque. She sang opera and performed burlesque. And he was a clown. And anyway, the twist in my legs is related to that genetic birth defect. And my grandma, she had a slight club foot as well, the same side. My grandma did. And that's why she had trouble walking. Part of why she had trouble walking as she got older. And after she had children and the arthritis and everything. She had arthritis and osteoporosis. My grandma was actually she told me when she was young and healthier, she was about 5'7", but the osteoporosis, she was like 5 foot, right? But she had been 5'7". You know, so I just try because like watching my grandfather have to pick her up and help her, I don't want that. 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 So, on top of the injuries that I have, there's that. There's that, or I should say behind. Oh, yeah. And it was always upsetting, like when I was thinner and much more active. Um, Not because my pain was less, right? Like, age and wear and tear take their toll too. And like I said, I don't have pain because I'm fat. I'm fat because I have pain, or I'm fat because I have pain, right? And anyway, when we were living in Oakland at that in that loft, I almost always, unless I had lots of bags to carry from grocery or whatever, I almost always took the stairs, all 4 flights up. And the building manager, Marcia, was this short, fat little woman, and there were a couple other gals that lived on the first floor who gave me trouble. And the one was a big horsey girl, and she was big girl, and she she did all this stuff on Twitter about, oh, body positivity. Who's that big girl? Like whatever. I'm like, whatever, big girl. I mean, she was a big, tall, horsey girl, and she was real thick and just. But they used to always make comments to me about, oh, got to keep your figure, got to stay slim when I take the stairs. And I always said, no, I'm taking the stairs because I know there's someday when I'm not going to be able to take the stairs. And they used to just roll their eyes and everything. It's just like, shitty bitches like that, shitty fucking bitches like that, right? They were awful. They turned on me, like they were friendly with me at first, and then we did those events and the F3 events, and I booked the performance, the stage. I booked the stage, and I had booked a bunch of local stuff. They usually brought in friends or friends of friends, and a lot of people came from out of town or whatever. And sometimes I did that too, but usually I went out and it's why part of the reason why I started going to all the clubs to like, book local talent. And I booked a comedian, Mean Dave, and he was funny. I knew, like I didn't know what all of his jokes were, but he was an insult comic, right? Like he insulted people, and he'd insult himself too. Like it wasn't just, he'd start off his act insulting himself, Or was it the other way around? He'd start insulting other people and then he would finish insulting himself. He was a very deprecating person. And like if you actually sat and talked to him, his personal story was pretty compelling. Like, and anyway, he did some fat jokes. And oh my God, I had no idea. I didn't have to approve everybody's set list or anything. I'd see them when I were out and knew whatever. But he told some fat jokes, and it pissed off Fat Marsha and Fat Carrie. They pitched this fit, and that's when I'm like, they're like, Larissa, you don't know what it is to have a fat joke. And I'm like, you've only known me since I've been thin. I've been a fat girl before. Like, I am a fat girl. I just happened to. It was like, I never said that kind of shit to people because I was aware, but it didn't bother me, right? I grew up with my grandfather saying shit to my grandma about being fat. And my other grandfather used to, oh God, that Christmas I was pregnant. And I hadn't told anybody I was pregnant yet. And he was telling me, your ass is getting fat. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, like I grew up being called fat and having comments made about my body and watching men in my family make comments about fatness. My my cousins and my uncle ripping my Aunt Peg for being overweight, like whatever. You know, I whatever, but these two dumb bitches, they were all offended, and I'm just like, whatever. And so then they were always making snide comments to me, and it's just like, okay. So here I am, I having trouble walking. I knew my life would get to this point, and the chronic pain that I've been living with, you know, for the past 30 years at the point that it's at, and it's just like, ugh, women like that. Women are shitty. Women are really shitty. Yeah. Just trying to do the best I can right now and sit with the pain, right? Sit with the pain. Yeah. Oh, when the saints come marching in. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, I'll be in that number. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saves a wretch like me. Amazing grace poured down on me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. Amazing grace poured down on me. All right. Yeah. A little arrangement I put together. Mm. Oh, when my grandma had her stroke, I used to sing to her Prayer St. Francis. Prayer St. Francis was more for me, although I'm sure she probably thought those same thoughts, thought that prayer, dealing with hospital staff that talked to her like she was retarded instead of just trapped inside her body. It used to get on her nerves, I know. That must have been the hardest part. That had to have been the hardest. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But I used to also sing Moon Shadow. I'm being followed by a moon shadow, moon shadow, moon shadow. Leaping and hopping on a moon shadow, moon shadow, moon shadow. And if I ever lose my legs, lose my land, lose my land. Oh, if I ever lose my hands, lose my plow, lose my land. Oh, if I ever lose my hands, oh, well. I can't remember what the words were. Did it take long to find me? I asked the faithful light. Did it take long to find me? And are you gonna stay the night? Oh, I'm being followed by a moon shadow, moon shadow, moon shadow. If I ever lose my legs, I won't moan and I won't beg. Oh, if I ever lose my legs, oh, well, I won't have to walk no more. Yeah. 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 So I think about that all the time. My grandma being stuck in her body, right? Being there, not being able to talk, not being able to walk. I think about that. And having people talking to her, hey, sweetie. Oh, she hated that. She hated it. She hated it. And it used to irritate me when I go visit and they do that to her. I tell her after they'd leave the room, like, oh my God, do they talk to you like that all the time? And she'd be like, this face and shake her head. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, that's terrible. And she'd be like, uh-huh. Yeah, she hated it. Like she'd shake her fist at people. With her left hand, she could shake it. She'd give them the fiska. She'd give people the fiska, shake her fist. And I'd be like, oh, Rosie, are you shaking your fist at me? I'm like, oh, man. If that woman could get out of that chair, she would beat you. Ugh. Oh, my God. Yeah. So, anyway. Anyway. I just don't have the money to hire an assistant. That's what I need. I need a personal assistant is what I need. Not a caregiver, but someone who can help me lift things when I need help, when I need to lift things, move things, somebody who's there to help me do that stuff, right? I do. I need somebody to help me, but I can't afford it. I can't afford a personal assistant, you know? Anyway. Saw a little snake trail across the path at Wilder Ranch yesterday. Oh, snaky snake. Saw some little lizards. Oh my goodness, little lizards. I love little lizards. I love little lizards. I have little lizards that live here with me too. Yeah. The alligator lizards and then the little bearded lizards. They got the turquoise scales mixed in. Yeah. They look like the underneath side of redwood bark. Yeah, redwood bark gets this like turquoise mold up inside sometimes. Yeah, and these little lizards, they match. They match the inside of that. They're real pretty. And they're real cute. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, there was a song I wrote. It has like 6 verses. I don't even know if I still have that. If that might have been one of the notebooks that was taken. Anyway, um, from a bird's eye view, I can see until tomorrow, but I always seem to look at yesterday. From a bird's eye view, there isn't any sorrow, so I'll choose to simply be with you today. So many country songs played down that winding road that emptied to the lapping of the waves. Yeah. Oh, it's a long song. It's about being in the moment. If I go through a hard time and being in the moment with who and what you're at, right? Or trying to be. Yeah, so there was this night when Omar and I, just before he left me the first time, and his dad was sick, and I'd been out performing. Like going out to perform was how I was processing everything, right? And it was a night that he went with me because he usually didn't go with me. I usually went out by myself when I'd go do that. He'd go out with me on the weekends, right? But like during the week, I usually went by myself if I went and did any open mics or anything anywhere. So it must have been a weekend, and we'd gone out to the club, and I wanted to dance, and Omar didn't particularly. He doesn't. He's got one step. He doesn't do it. He does it fast or slow. It's like whatever. But he didn't want to. He didn't feel like dancing, and so there was this other guy who I don't even remember his name. I can see his face. He played guitar. He was a little goofy, more than a little goofy. He was a little off his rocker. Anyway, I was dancing, and he came over and started dancing with me, and then he would like look at Omar, and he like couldn't understand because he hit on me all the time, and I always brushed him off. Told him I'm married, blah blah blah, whatever. So he starts like getting aggressive dancing with me, and Omar's just like ignoring him, and it made him angry. And he leaned over to me, and he's like, "Why don't you just leave with me tonight?" He said, "It has to be better than that." He said, anything has to be better than that. He said, he says to me, he's not even looking at you. What's the matter with him? So this guy said to me. And I'm like, whatever, you know. And then he kind of got in Omar's face, and Omar was taken off guard. Like because he didn't even like notice this guy dancing with me. It was like right in front of him, right? And he like didn't care. He still wouldn't care. He doesn't care, right? Like anyway, Omar was mad that this guy started getting in his face, and he got mad at me about it. And we argued, and I said, I'm. Anyway, we left. This was at Aubergine after dark. I had on these black faux leather leggings and a black like bra top, and then over that I had this long black silk, had red roses on it, and it was kind of sheer, like duster. And I had these big heels, giant heels I was wearing. It looked really cute, and my hair was that strawberry red color that I was wearing it. It matched the roses on the gown, on the duster. And he like stomped out to the car, and I had to run after him, like always. I got in the car, and we drove out instead of going home. We were fighting in the car. I said, let's go out to the ocean. I said, let's go yell at the ocean. We drove out Bodega Highway. And we parked out on the cliffs out there, and we're fighting fighting, smoking cigarettes. I was smoking cigarettes. He wasn't. Ugh. Cop pulled up, like, asked, asked what we were doing. I said, we're fighting. I said, we're a married couple. We're having an argument. He was like, oh, is everything okay? I said, yeah. He says, do you live somewhere nearby? I said, we live over in Santa Rosa. I showed him, I told him, asked for my driver's license, gave it to him. He's like, oh. I said, yeah, we have a house to go to. I said, we're not homeless. We're not staying here. He's like, oh, well, don't stay all night. I'm like, we're not. We left shortly after that. Drove back home in silence. Anyway, that's what that was like the impetus of that song. Yeah, and then shortly after that, he left me. Walked out on me. Had tickets to, my sister was visiting, and I had tickets to the symphony for all of us, and he had a rental car delivered to the house and had a packed bag hidden. And when my sister arrived, he told her he met her outside and told her that he was leaving me. And I'm just like, oh, I don't know. I don't know why we got back together. I don't know why we're still together. I don't know why. I was so humiliated. Like, even though we'd been arguing and stuff, I had chalked all of it up to the stress of his dad having cancer and us being far away and, going back and forth. You know, we went back right after the diagnosis and stayed, and then came back to California. And then he went back by himself for a little while, and then came back to California. And then we went back out together. And when his dad was finally dying, yeah. But, I had just chalked up all of the fighting and everything to his dad was dying, and he was a young man, and that's a rough thing, a really rough thing. I mean, it's hard to lose a loved one or a parent at any age, but as a young man, right? Like, I think we were still in our 20s. Anyway, or maybe Omar was 30 already. I was like 29 or something, 28, 29. Saturn returns. Oh my God. Yeah. And he just like walked out. Like I hadn't even considered, at, that was never even a consideration. Like that, oh, I could walk out. That had never occurred to me to walk away. Right. And I was just dumbfounded. Yeah. He just couldn't understand why I was not why I was upset when he would go for weeks without talking to me, or, living with somebody in silence is like maddening, unless everybody is agreed to a vow of silence. But I was just like, geez. And he was constantly angry at me for everything. And I was always angry about money. And so it's like, he was always angry about money, and I was always looking for ways to save money and to not spend money and to like not breathe around him, right? Yeah. Yeah, it was hard. It was hard. It's still hard. But, all of that stuff is also part of the reason why I don't want him to have to take care of me in any way, shape, or form. Like, having to rely on him for me is insulting. Like, it even kind of bothers me. He has to bring me this cup of tea in the morning, right? Like, it helps it takes the edge off the pain once it kicks in, and then I can walk better, right? And I can go down the stairs. Um, anyway, yeah, this batch has, of course, the cannabis in it, CBD, a CBD dominant indica, and Hoya Santa and hibiscus, and this also has arnica in it, and what else? Oh, there's reishi mushroom in it, and burdock, and licorice root, and what else is in this one? Thistle, and what else? I think that's it. That's what's in this batch. Yeah, yeah. At 46, it's just like I'm resigned to what my life is, which is basically a lot of disappointment. And it's pretty much what it'll always be. Yeah. But I'm trying to increase my mobility. I'm trying to. It just hurts. It's hard. Yeah. I don't make art for him anymore. I think the last piece of art that I made for Omar, like, what do I mean by that? Like, artwork that was inspired by our relationship or whatever. Last thing was that song I wrote for our anniversary. And that was when we were still living at the cotton mill. It was like one of the last performances, not the last, but one of the last performances I did up in Sebastopol. Yeah, I wrote the anniversary song. Yeah, that was the last piece. And after that, he we went out to dinner and everything, but like he didn't even have a card for me. He gets cards for me now. Now he doesn't forget, but now it doesn't mean as much to me anymore. And um, oh, I guess it's just the way it goes when you've been married a long time. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. But that was the last time I made a conscious decision that I was not going to make my artwork wasn't going to be about him anymore. And I really like the work that I've done since then. It's been hard, but I really do like the work I've made since then. And it's not that I don't like the work that I made before then, but it's, I look around at some of it and I'm just like, oh, what else could you have been doing? Anyway, that song, the anniversary song. Been times when memories have faded to gray through the years along the way, when love has gone away, and everything I thought I knew wasn't true when it came down to me and you. And as I turned away from everyone, I finally saw my reflection. And when I'm feeling blue, all I have to do is think of all the little things you do, like bring me coffee in bed, help me ease my aching head, wash my dishes and help me mop my floor. I couldn't ask for any more. I couldn't ask for any more. Yeah, there's more you can ask for. There is. There's more to life than that. But I try to be content. I try to be content, right? Not a lot of options for a perimenopausal fat girl, right? Whose career has been predominantly volunteer work, who everybody treats like garbage. Just the reality of things. Like, if I were a barnyard animal, they'd take me out in the back pasture, right? Well, all you're good for now is steaks.